Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the think tank. Come on in and say hello. Good evening, everybody. I hope you're well on this Tuesday. You're all very welcome to the think tank. For some reason, Facebook won't let us go over and broadcast live on Facebook, but I'm going to give it one more lash while we're just hanging on there now and see will they let us in. No, it doesn't want to let us in. That's okay. We'll post a recording for everyone else who doesn't join us live. Okay, so you're all very, very welcome. I hope you're all having a great Tuesday. It's hard to believe how time is flying. I don't know about you guys, but here in Ireland, we're getting a wee bit chilly. You can feel the autumn on its way. But, you know, hopefully we all are doing well and we're staying safe and staying healthy. That's the important thing. So let's get started with this week's think tank. And we're going to go straight into it. And what I'm going to talk about today is because it's quite important that it's important to realize that most of your effort and most of your cost actually goes into acquiring that client and getting them into your studio. So getting that ideal client gold into your studio. So what we want to do when we're doing that is to make sure that we don't leave any money on the table, that we absolutely maximize the sale with the client, not hard sales, it's not a bit hard selling, but that we absolutely maximize what we give the client, what we provide the client, the service we provide the client, and what we get in return in terms of sale from that client. And why that's important is that to do that, we've got to give value to the client. But there's a couple of things that we need to check along the way, because in my interaction with many photographers, and I help many photographers with this whole process, is that there's a couple of key things that I often find are missing. So today, before we get into how you can use a folio box to make sure you don't leave money on the table and maximize the sale, I just want to talk about the other key 8 things that I've seen, because they'll all relate into how you can use a folio box to solve those problems. Because if you solve those 8 problems, you will maximize the return on your investment from acquiring a client. Okay, so what are the 8 biggest problems I see? Well, the first one I see is not having a marketing plan. So if you don't have a marketing plan, you've no idea who your ideal client is. You've no idea how to position your proposition and your value to that client. And 3, you don't know where to position your actual brand and your business to make sure that you are connecting with that ideal client. And without this, what happens is you get caught by the green-eyed monster. You get caught by thinking everyone is your client when they're not. Because it's not possible to build a business where you believe everyone is your client. And why is that? The reason why is that every client will want something different. So what happens is it eats your limited resource. What's your most limited resource? It's time. It's the only thing that you can't buy back when it's gone. So what we need to do is to have a plan, a marketing plan, to ensure that we're positioning our offering to our ideal client who's going to spend what we want them to spend. And not only that, but become an advocate for our business so they become your marketing engine. And when you get all those things aligned and together, it's much easier to maximize the return on investment and not leave any money on the table. So let's just get into that then, what's next with regards to this plan. So I really like this. This is Nick Westergaard, and this is, sorry about that. And this is his touch point framework. And why I like it is that he starts in the core, so the core brand DNA. So right in the center is your core brand DNA. And that is things like knowing what your why is, that we've talked about, and ways to go. It's about knowing, what your personality is, understanding all that deep core brand DNA. What are your core values? What's your value proposition statement? How are you going to position your business? And then from that, the next layer out, you'll see he's got product and service. And service is the experience that you give to your client. It's the experience your client has. That's your service. And then the product then is what your service as a photographer ends up in. And that will hopefully be some wall art, maybe some albums, hopefully a folio box. And we'll talk about how those things are not mutually exclusive, how they can be combined together to make sure your client gives as much money to you as possible for the value of the service that you offer. And all those things are linked. The next piece out then is you're going to have static analog. What is that? That is, your community marketing, all your offline marketing, if you want to call that, your vendor partnerships, wherever they might be. That's your static analog. And your interactive digital then is all your website, your social media, your all those, your marketing funnels, all those things that you do online, and you want the two combined if you can. Yeah. And you want to make sure they're aligned within the one marketing plan, delivering value to that ideal client that's yours. And the next layer out then is the 5 senses or more. It's a great check to make sure that everything you do appeals to the 5 senses. When you go into, when you pass by a bakery, yeah, and you pass by a bakery shop and you can smell the bread cooking, yeah, or you pass by a coffee shop and you can smell the coffee brewing. Or if you've ever bought a house and someone knows who really do this, they might have a firelight in the hearth, they might have some coffee, and that's to appeal to our senses. So one of the great things to do is to see if the products that you sell appeal to the 5 senses. And then, of course, is there a bonus for your client? Because we all like surprise and delight, yeah? We all like little bonuses. And there's a way to do that with product as well, as to what those little bonuses are, what the surprises are. And depending on your client and your average order values, you can use a folio box to achieve some of that. Right, so let's dig into this then and go a little bit deeper. So what's the second thing I see? So the second thing I see is that many don't consider the process of sales from your buyer's perspective. And they're quite similar, but one is wearing the eyes and wearing the shoes of your client. So it's their perspective of interacting with your business. So what I like to do is I like you to consider how can you map that out? And excuse my very rough drawing, but I haven't turned this into a fancy slide for no other reason. But this is something that I've been working on from some time. In fact, if I go back in time, I've been working this for nearly 10 years at various aspects of things. And if you're in BSA, you will know that we talk about how you can use social media marketing to attract your client when they're in the awareness stage. What's that? Awareness stage it's a stage before your client even becomes aware that they need your service. Yeah. Because what most people do, and this is the steps a buyer goes through. So they become aware that they have a need for what you offer. They build their knowledge around the offer. They then consider who should they do their business with. They then do a selection or trial. In the case of photography, in the case of 3XM, a trial for us is somebody buys a studio sample. A photographer buys a studio sample. They co-invest with us in a studio sample. They put it into their studio. In your case as a photographer, let's say you're a portrait photographer, it's getting somebody in your studio for an experience. They've signed up for the experience. Yeah. Then these are post-purchase. And a lot of businesses forget about these stages. And that is your client satisfied? Have you built loyalty? And have they become an advocate for your business? Are they spreading the word within your ideal clients, within your community, that you are the photography business that's right for them? So they become your engine. So in social media marketing, we call this social proof. Yeah, but it's all the same things. All these principles are the same all the way across. So a lot of photographers talk to me about consideration stage, Ronan, and what's the mindset there? And the mindset when someone's in the consideration stage is they're already in a logical state of mind. So they're talking to you like this. They're saying, I found you on a Google search. What's your price for? Have you heard that before? If you have, well, then most of your marketing is geared towards attracting clients when they've already decided they want a photographer or need a photographer. So they're searching Google for it because that's where Generation Y and Z, and in fact, my Generation X, in fact, everyone now, yeah. If we want to buy a product or service, we do our research online. In the old days, when I started selling first, that's what a salesperson did. A salesperson educated the client on making them aware that they have a need and going through all those consideration questions and building their knowledge around the product. Now that's all done online. The other stage of marketing then is catching people when they're not even aware yet they have a requirement for your need. And in this state of awareness, they're in an emotional state quite often. They haven't yet got to that logical state which they do a consideration. Because when they're in a consideration stage, they've already done their research, they've built their knowledge around what they want, and that's why they start to shop on price, if that makes sense. So just to bore you on that, why I get excited about this area, that's my master's document that I did in 2009-10. And I actually studied consideration of the buyer at this stage of the buying process online. So that's why I love this area so much. But it's really, really interesting to know, because once you're aware of this, you don't need to do a master's on it. Once you're aware of the principles of it, then it will make sense to you how you align everything in your business to maximize the sale. And how to find the right clients and get them into your business. So there's a book on this actually that I recommend highly, and it's by Joey Coleman, and it's called Never Lose a Customer Again. Really good book, and he explains this process in his 7 steps as to 8 steps in fact, as to what you're trying to achieve around that, and how you can use the different communication methods of in-person, email, mail, phone, video, and a present to achieve these across it. So if you haven't read that book yet, I strongly recommend it, and it aligns here with this piece that I've been talking about. Okay, so second mistake, this will help you overcome that, and that is perceiving your sales process from the buyer's perspective. And just think about the buyer's perspective. Okay. The second thing then is, what value pyramid are you going to compete on? So let me tell you about a photographer I know called John. And John was getting average sales values below what he wanted. So he wanted to align his business, and his photography was really, really good. But his sales process was not aligned for the quality aspect. He was more around the convenience piece. And let me explain that now in an analogy for you in relation to, let's say you're going to make burgers and chips, beef burgers and chips for them at home. You have a couple of choices, right? If price is your driver, so you're going to compete on this price piece, you're going to be like Walmart, if I'm in the US, or Tesco in the UK. So the best way to get to burgers and chips is to go to Walmart and Tesco, buy my minced beef, buy my onions, buy my flour, buy my eggs to bind it all together, buy my potatoes to peel to make my French fries at home. I use chips there. So in Europe, we call French fries chips, just for those, always causes confusion. And chips in Europe is French fries in the US, and sometimes in Europe. It depends where we are, But when I say chips, I'm not talking about potato chips. I'm talking about French fries. So that's the easiest way to do it. And here's where a lot of people get confused, People think that McDonald's compete on price, but they don't. They compete on convenience. So what do I mean by that? Well, you're at home and the family says, let's do burger and chips. So you have a choice, Am I going to go and buy the ingredients myself? That's the cheapest way I can do it. I just want to get in and out quickly with least hassle. I don't want to pay too much, but I'm going to pay more than if I go to Walmart or Tesco and do it myself. So McDonald's, we into the car, we go down to the drive-thru, we come up to the first thing, we give our order, we pay at the next window, and then we collect our goods. And everyone is happy, sitting in the back, eating their Big Mac, whatever they're going to do. So that's convenience. So McDonald's compete on convenience. And then the final stage then is gourmet burger. So that's where I can go in, it's table service, I can build a burger any way I want. It's going to be an Angus beef burger, steak burger, and I put whatever toppings I want and build it up, and I can have either, wedges, or I can have French fries, or I can have potato fries, or I can have, I can build it for myself, and it's a wonderful experience. But I pay more for it, right? I probably pay 10 times for my meal what I would pay if I went and bought the ingredients myself. So why this is important is you've got to align your business to what are you going to compete on, but everything then must align with it. And that's when we come to the next piece, is knowing your 4 Ps. So you've got to know your product that you're offering, and that includes your service. You got to understand your price. You got to understand your place. So what do I mean by place? So we talked a little bit earlier as an example of a photographer that I was dealing with, and they wanted to be the quality. Yeah, they wanted to compete on the quality, but their place did not align with that. So if I take it in a hotel analogy, their studio and setup aligned with a 3-star hotel, not a 5-star hotel, but wanted to charge 5-star prices. So all of the touch points that your buyer goes through in their buying process has to align depending on the quality pyramid you're going to fit into. Yeah. So hopefully that makes sense. And the final P then is knowing your promotion. How are you going to promote it? How are you going to connect with that ideal client goal, both online and offline? If we go back to the marketing plan and having that piece aligned. So you got to know your 4 Ps. Yeah. So this is the base. This is the base foundation of maximizing your sale, because there's no point in you having a folio box to maximize the sale if you haven't figured out all that other stuff first. Yeah. Okay. So the art of pricing. And we could talk for 4 hours on pricing. In fact, I can give a full day workshop on pricing. So I'm going to summarize it here in 2 or 3 minutes, the key things I see. So the key things that I see missing with a lot of photographers' price list is this principle of price anchoring. So what is price anchoring? Price anchoring is the principle of having a package or a series of products that you're going to offer for sale, that it's never really your intention to sell it, but it's there to show value in the other. Why is that? Well, if you offer people a choice of 3 things, 70% are going to settle for the middle piece. What's the psychology behind that? The psychology behind that is that quite often we don't want to be the cheapskate buying the cheaper. We don't want to be perceived as spending the biggest amount of money, so we settle for the middle. That's what's going on in the back of our heads quite often. We're not conscious about it, but that's the psychology that's going on, and the numbers are crunching in the back of our head. So the principle of price anchoring is to get over that. So to turn your previously top priced product, into another middle one. So if you have 3 offerings on a product line or whatever, by offering a 4th one at a much higher price, you're going to sell far more of your previous highest price thing. Yeah. Okay. So that's the principle of price anchoring. And this has all been proven in research. They've done this with coffee machines, where they had 2 coffee machines, one for $80, one for $120. Guess what happened? Yeah, the vast majority of people bought the $80 one. When they introduced another coffee machine at $380, 70 to 80% of the people ended up buying the $120, while before they never bought the $120. And there's various examples in consumer research that shows how this works. So I encourage a lot of photographers who do sell collections, and I know there's a lot of photographers who are against collections. It depends on where you are in your business and where you are along your development curve. But for a photographer who hasn't yet, figured out all the sales piece and all that, collections are a great way to start, especially if your order value is below a certain level. Yeah, and you can build it up from there. Okay. So the second thing then that a lot of photographers miss is the idea of payment plans. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that the easier you make it for your client to be able to afford it, the more likely they are to spend more. Now, it's not to say that your client won't just use their credit card and you can do it on the credit card and that becomes their payment plan. That's fine. But often there's a scenario where they want to spend more, and your job is to make it easier for them to spend that more by taking away that fear. And that might be spreading the payment over some time. In certain places, or if you're in the UK, there's various options where You can actually get your money up front, or 90% of it up front, and you can spread the rest over with a finance company. I'm not aware of a US scenario that does that, but there's always ways where you can become creative with that, especially with the margins that we operate in photography. Yeah, if we can get, the vast majority of our costs paid for, 60, 70% up front and spread the other 30%, that can even work, right? So what I'm saying is, don't forget about this. But of course, to do that, you need to know your numbers. Yeah. And you need to know how everything connects. Before we get to talk about that, I just wanted to give you an example. This is not laid out really, really pretty, but this is just to give you an idea of a photographer who has put in a price anchoring product. So before, where did I go? Apologies. So before, they were never selling very much of Collection A. Now, they don't call this Collection A, but I haven't used their wording on purpose, because just to protect the identity, because you never know who knows who. Yeah. So here, Collection A this was their highest package. They never sold it. When they put in this elite package, they then sold way more of these. Their sales went to 30% of Collection A's, 40% Collection B's. They sold the odd one of these, and then the rest was in Collection C. And that was just a simple way to do it. The other way, and the big mistake that a lot of people do, and we've made that mistake over here actually, which we'll explain in a second, is start with your highest price first. Because what a lot of people do, and let's do it here, yeah? What a lot of people do is they start here and they get to here and they stop here, yeah? And they stop at the 829 because they've got two down and said, yeah, that's about my budget. If these were reversed and the 1399 was on top, going down to the 485, people often won't even get to the 829. They'll stop at the 1119. So when you're presenting your price on anything, always think about the Z or Z pattern. So this is designed for the Z or Z pattern to just start here, go here, here, and here. Yeah. And they're going to go back up here. That's where they're going to, this is prime real estate on the Z pattern on this. And then over here, then you want them, if it's an a la carte item, you want your highest price first, so that they don't start to scan and get bored and stop earlier than you want them to stop. Yeah. Okay. So there's just some simple things. The other, there's a whole lot of stuff going on here. We haven't got the dollar sign. We put it in here, mistake. Yeah. So no dollar sign, no pound sign, no euro sign, no commas in between the figures. So all those things, but all those hints are available for you anyway, but that will also help you not leave money on the table. Okay. Decision fatigue. So it's really easy for me to make a decision here as the client. Yeah. But if you give me loads and loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of choice, yeah, decision fatigue happens. And what's decision fatigue? Too much choice equals no decision. Your client is confused. I see it all the time, even with frame choices. Yeah. And there's tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of frame choices. Yeah. And there might be 50 of them, and the client can't make up their mind which one's right for them. They just can't make up their mind. Decision fatigue sets in. So it's safer for them not to make a decision at all. So just think about how much choices you offer your client. The simpler you keep it, the easier it is for them to make a decision as to what to buy. And that applies to everything, whether it's what's in the, what frame options you're offering. The other thing I see here is, I see photographers say, and they have a canvas and they have an acrylic and they have some other type of product, and that's all wall art, and they'll have them all at different prices based on the cost of buying those things. Your client doesn't know the price of them. You're only introducing another decision for them to make. Oh, so that one's slightly cheaper than that one, and that one's more dearer than that one. Put them all the same price, and then their decision is only about which one they prefer most. Yeah. And work out your pricing based on wherever the dearest item is, because they're all different costs to you. I understand that. But wherever your multiplier is going to be that you're going to price that at, just take the dearest product and work out your pricing. So if they do buy something that's cheaper, a canvas is cheaper, you're making the same money. Yeah, but reduce the number of decisions the client needs to make. The second thing then that you've got to know is you've got to know your numbers. You cannot run your business and maximize the sale and turn the folio box into a way to get more money from a sale unless you know your numbers, and you've got to know the basis to those. And we've all the tools to help you with that. And where I start with is I start with 6 simple questions. And from those 6 simple questions, we're able to figure out exactly what you want to earn from your business, all the way through to what your sales need to be and what your average sales value needs to be. So why is this important? So I knowing this number 1350, what is that going to mean? That is going to mean that when I go back to my prices, if I'm using collections, I'm going to make sure collection C is priced at that figure. Why? Because 70% of people are going to end up here. So the chances are, provided not too many go for my smaller package, I'm going to end up with that average. Yeah. So that's how all these things link. So it's important to know what that number is, because I know in this case, this photographer wanted 100 sales sessions at this average to have total revenue of 135,000 and put 50,000 into their pocket on profit first principles, pay themselves net of tax 50,000. Yeah. And all these calculations can be done for you. Here's the other piece that's really important. How many leads do you need to generate, does your marketing need to generate to deliver you these numbers? To deliver you sales of 135,000 at an average of 1350, to put 50,000 into your pocket, to run your business on 30,000, to have 15,000 in your taxation account, and to make a profit of 5,000. How many leads do you need to generate in your business? And I would say if I talk to 100 businesses, not just photographers, but small businesses, and I ask that question, one person max knows the answer. So how can you run your business, or how can you guarantee to put that money into your pocket, or absolutely maximize the chances of you delivering whatever you want to earn from your business into your pocket if you don't know how many leads your marketing needs to generate? So these numbers here will also generate that out for you. So based on your sales and marketing ratio, we know this photographer who wants 100 sales at 1350, delivering them 50,000 into their pocket, needs to generate 833 leads based on their sales process or your client's buying process with you. Yeah. Now I can set about my strategies as to how to do it once I solve this problem too. And this is, how do you deal with digital files? And this is like opening a can of worms for you, I know. And there's so much information out there and so many educators saying different things about this. And what I'm going to say for you is just one thing about it. And there's a great book I want to recommend to you. It's called Digital Darwinism. And Digital Darwinism explains nothing about photography, but explains about the digital world and what's happening to it, and equates that change in technology to previous changes in technology that humans have encountered and what's happened in that scenario. And one of the examples they use is that of electricity. And electricity was first designed, it was really, really slow to catch on. And the first ones that changed were factories, but they had to reinvent their whole factory layout because they were built for steam power that was powering everything. And it took a long time before electricity came into the homes. And even when it did come into the homes, the switches on the lights were where? Yes, they were up at the lights because that's what we were used to with the oil burners. Yeah. And many of you watching are probably way too young to remember that, because I'm too young to remember it too. But that's what happened. So we're slow to adopt new technology. And the first things we do as humans is we resist it. We resist a new technology. But today, if I were to ask you today, and if you're of my generation, or you know, you're an older Gen Y, Gen X, baby boomer, you know, we don't recognize that electricity is not there unless there's a power cut. So unless something has happened to cause a power cut, we take it for granted. And the generation Y, the younger generation Y, the millennials, and Gen Z who are coming through now, the oldest is 23, the youngest is 12 or thereabouts, they don't remember life without that, without their smartphone. They don't remember life without Google or Facebook. It's part of them, you know. If you've seen the program on Netflix, it's really good, The Social Dilemma. If you haven't seen it yet, I recommend you see it. But like, it's part of their life now. They don't leave that screen, you know, and it's sad in a lot of ways, but it's the reality for us as business owners. So we've got to align to deliver for them. And the other thing that they're used to is they're used to quantity of quality. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that quite often the photographer sales system is built around selling one, maybe a collection of 2, 3, or 4 images that reflect the relationships or what's going on. Yeah. And there might be a cluster, and that's fine, or a collection of for the wall. But quite often that's not enough for them as well. Because if you think about the volume of imagery they need to satisfy their desire for the images they share on social media, which is where they look for recognition from their peers, they want volume. But it has to be of a quality that they're willing to share that reflect their perceived image of themselves. So how do we do that without giving away the kitchen sink for very little? Because there are photographers who do that, right? I hear it all the time. I was a photographer on their own. They do everything for $200 and they get all the images and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So how can we deal with that desire, but show the value to the total family unit that's involved in the buying decision? Because even if it's high school senior, yeah, it's mum who probably wants the wall art for the wall before their baby leaves home and flies the nest and goes off to university. Yeah. So how do we satisfy that need? Okay. So the first thing about digital files is you have to have a system to deal with it. And you may decide, look, that you're not, if I were you, I wouldn't sell a digital file without there buying it in print as well. But there's different models of the way you can do that. Some photographers will take the approach that once you spend a certain amount, then you can buy the digitals as an extra for an add-on, and those prices for digitals come down as the more you buy. Or you can simply say what's bought in print gets bundled in, and combine both of those. So if you want to sell wall art first, once a certain amount is paid at wall art, then what you buy in print, you get in digital. If you don't want the print, it costs the same as it does if you just buy it as a digital. Yeah. So there's various ways to deal with that. The digitals, you may decide, no, I'm not selling high-res files. I'm only going to sell social media files. And that might be fine too for your client. You can figure that out in your correspondence. The only thing I would say to you is, and a lot of photographers get, I think, confused by the noise in our industry. And I'll ask you one question. How many times does a client who comes to your studio come back later to say, I want to buy a 30 by 40 piece of wall art from the images, and because I don't have the digital, I need to come back to you? And I'm sure there's somebody watching who says, yeah, that's me. That happens to me a lot. Great. Well, then only use social media files. That never happens you, that probably will never happen you, and happens the odd occasion, maximize the sales there and then by figuring out the digital piece, because there will be consumers who aren't happy with just the digital file as a social media file. So figure out a way to bundle it in that you maximize the sale there and then, and they have the high res as well. Okay, so just think about that as to how you can put it in. I'm a great believer of giving your clients not giving them, I should never use the word giving, selling them as part of what you do, the images in an online gallery. Now, an online gallery for me, before you start going off and say it's only for wedding photographers, it's not about selling product. Yeah. For me, an online gallery is a folio box in your pocket as well as the physical folio box. Why is that important? Why it's important is, I've seen folio boxes designed by other companies who will remain nameless, where they put video screens in the folio box, right? We came out with a prototype of that about 6 years ago and shelved it. Why? For a couple of reasons. The first reason we shelved it was The client lost the power cable to charge it. And every time they wanted then to, they wanted to show take the box out like you would an album and show friends or whatever, they had to repower it and the power wasn't there. It's just a disaster. And they lose the power cable. Who are they going to ring looking for a power cable? You. What they only really want is if you put it in a device where they can access it on their phone, combined with the prints, then they can have it. They can have their video and their behind the scenes video and their images in the slideshow. On this, you don't need to have it in the folio box. It's a mistake. It has an initial wow, but it's a mistake, believe me. And I've heard educators talk about Gen Z love video. That's where they want it. No, they don't. They want it in that. They want it in that. Find a solution where you combine both the tangible folio box of images with the folio box in their pocket. And you will solve the problem for them. And you will show value and you will upsell as a result of that. Okay. So that's why we bundle at 3XM. We bundle an online gallery, a folio box in your pocket for your client with every folio box you buy from us. And that's why we haven't put the screen in the folio box for the reasons that I've just outlined. When they've got this is where they want it. We all know referral marketing is important, yeah? Tell me this. How many times do you think your client will generate a referral for you as a photographer with the screen in the folio box versus it in their pocket? Think about it. Okay. Right, let's move on. Enough about digital. So now we've done the basis and we've done the foundation. So let's move on now to try and picture for you, those of you who are watching, how a folio box fits within your sales process, your average sales value, and the type of photography that you might do and how that all fits together. For those who are unfamiliar with a folio box, I just want to show you one briefly. So this is our walnut folio box at 3XM. It's a beautiful product. It's heavy. It's like a piece of furniture. It's been described as. In our folio boxes, all of our wooden folio boxes now, and we've started to go the wooden route, and we have two beautiful folio boxes coming out soon. This walnut is really, really popular, but we're bringing it out in a black ash, and we're also bringing it out in a white oak. Beautiful product. But here's where what you won't see anywhere else. We use glass. There is no perspex going on in our wooden folio boxes. The other beauty about this product is that the main image is properly framed. You see that? So it's right up against the glass. And there's no ribbon in front of it, or there's no ribbon you have to hide. And how we achieve that is we've designed this really clever system on the inside that's all controlled, that your client can swap out at any time the main image that's on display. So that just pops out and they redo it. And this is like, man, it's did you hear that click? Like the door of a Mercedes closing, yeah? That's all controlled with magnets. And it literally just grabs it and takes control and holds it in there. If you are of the opinion that you want to deliver the images on a flash drive or USB drive, this comes too, and you can put a USB drive that you can get from us in here as well. I personally think that there's no need for that anymore. I think if you've got their folio box in their pocket with the folio box, that you don't need a USB anymore. Some people maybe say, oh yeah, no, I plug it into my TV and I want it on my TV. But the way technology is going, I think that's going to disappear very, very soon. Very, very soon. But if you want it, you can have it. We're not going to object. Then the matted images, then we have various, this is our 8x10 folio box. The images are held in here, and there's a quantity of images that get up to 20 or 30. For the collections that are less than that, we have a flood space that can go in here. And we'll explain a little bit later how different clients use that as a selling opportunity to bring the client back later. So I just wanted to show you that before we get started. So you've sort of an explanation of what a folio box is. And then we've arranged our folio boxes too in materials. And we have ones in the walnut too that are just solid walnut that you can engrave. On the materials ones, like we've duck eggs and blacks. So if you're a boudoir photographer and your client doesn't want to have an image that's on display, that's changing quite a bit. We're noticing with boudoir, where a lot of wall art is now being sold in boudoir. So why not do it? But if your client is of that, we can have our solid black is really good for boudoir. And you can engrave your client's logo on the front or whatever. But that's just an idea of a folio box. We do two sizes, overall 8x10 and overall 11x14. Okay, so let's get into then the aspects of the sales process and how you might use that. So the first question is, who are you? So where are you on your average sales value journey? Because I see a lot of photographers and they're in different places. Yeah, we all hear about the photographers, and there are photographers out there, who've 10,000 averages, and that's fine. And then we've a lot of photographers who are in that sort of 1,000 to 3,000 average. Then we have some photographers who are less than that. And then we have some photographers who are on their journey to create a proper business and are, want to get beyond that digital only service for $200 or thereabouts, or £200. So what aligns with that is also your sales process. So how you're going to sell it. And there's various different sales processes, and we talk about that. And then what is your client value? So what does your client actually value? So the really good photographers figured out up front, what their client values, and they anchor the relationship, and they allow the client to visualize and imagine, what their product's going to end up at, whether it's wall art, and then the rest of the images in a folio box or an album or whatever. Yeah. So the tools to do this, we've made available to you, where you can do the calculations to calculate where you are in your average sales value journey, where you want to get to in your average sales value journey based on what you want to earn from your business. Define what your sales process is, and we'll talk about that. And the best way to give you examples of that is to actually go into some examples of clients of ours who are having success with a folio box and how they're not leaving money on the table, or they did before perhaps. And then what is your client value? And you will know that in time as to what your client values. Okay, so let's get into this a little bit more. So who you are. So your average sales value, is it over $3,000? If it is, I recommend something slightly different. If it's between $1,000 and $3,000, I recommend a certain product for that. And if it's less than $999, and these can be all pounds or euros, don't worry about the symbol, and then I recommend a different product for that. Okay, but it's important to understand where you are with that journey. Okay, so what is your sales process? So I see a number of different sales processes. So let's just talk about a few of them. The one sales process I see is at the setting stage, if you want to do it that way, is the client comes back, we have slideshow to music, and then either projection or display on a large telly the images, and we're using probably Pro Select to go through a process to narrow the images down to their favorite images, display those images then on their wall in wall art using the Pro Select Rooms view, and we sell for the wall, and that's our sales process. And we have other photographers then who will do reveal. So the clients will come, they come into the viewing, slideshow to music. There's a certain number of images that are matted and printed that can either be on a wall, or it can be where it's a secret box reveal, where the box I gave you, you actually present it to the client. The client opens it, starts to interact with the prints, and doesn't want to leave it behind because they're now giving themselves back. So here's a subtle difference, yeah. So I see an image on the wall, and it's on a TV or whatever, and I know it's me, but am I attached to that image the same way as if I'm holding me and it's me? I don't want to give me back. So it's slightly different. So what I recommend is, if you are in transition from selling all the digitals for nothing, yeah, not for nothing, but for a small fee, and you haven't yet figured out all the pieces, this is a great place to start, because your sales process becomes present the box of the images either in a reveal wall, or if you go to their home or meet them in a restaurant or whatever your sales process is, and you present them the box as a secret box reveal. Then you just have to shut up and let them fall in love with the product. It's a bit like, and those of you who are watching who are women, in fact, us men do it too. We go into a shop and we flick through the clothes and we see a dress that we like, this is my wife now, not me, see a dress that she likes, she'll flick through, she'll take it out, she'll have a look at it. If she thinks it's right for her, if she goes to the dressing room, there's a 9 out of 10 chance she's going to buy it. Unless it looks absolutely dreadful and she puts it on. Once she's touched it and she's put it on, she now owns it. She now wants it. The same with that. Then there's a lot of photographers who are combining both. And let's have a look at some of those as well as to what they're doing. Okay, so what's your sales process and how does that align with your sales value? We've talked about the average sales value already. Okay, so Mary Fitz-Taylor and Jamie Hayes, wonderful people, great friends, love them to death. Amazing people, amazing photographers, amazing business. And Mary is an amazing marketeer. And Mary, if you are watching this, happy birthday. So let's just talk about what they do. So Mary and Jamie fell in love with our product a number of years ago, that they saw at Texas School, and they were with us at Future Photography. And their main product they want to sell their client is beautiful painted wall art. Yeah, that's their go-to product. And when Mary saw our product and all that, she said, oh, we sell 1 piece or 2 piece or 3 piece or 4 piece per session, but we do have other images that we've taken. And what if we offer those as an add-on sale after they've sold the wall art? So they've bought the wall art, let's take the other images and put them in a beautiful folio box. And Mary and Jamie started to do that. And Mary and Jamie, in, I think the last figures Mary gave me, in 7 out of 10 sales or something like that, they've increased their sales by $2,500 for people buying the rest of the images in the folio box. Yeah. And I think she gives social media images as well for everything that they buy in print. So great way. So before, there was some money maybe being left on the table because all that other images, the client wants the quantity of images. Do you remember that message? Go back to the quantity of images of the younger people. And now they satisfy both needs. The beautiful painted wall art on the wall that Jamie paints as well, which is amazing. And then the rest of the images then in a beautiful folio box. And for those of you who know Mary and Jamie, only the best will do. That's the sales pitch for 3XM, by the way. Okay. The next bit then. So Wendy, amazing business in Belgium. If you haven't seen the interview I did with Wendy, have a look at it. She has absolutely got this sussed. I cannot describe somebody who's got this sussed better for this sales process and everything else. But just to cut it short and sort of bring sort of an hour webinar into 30 seconds, Wendy has an amazing business in Belgium, a small town, 10,000 people. She's sells over 100 folio boxes a year at her average, which is a really nice average. But she's managed to combine that with other businesses. So her studio, she also owns within the studio a hairdresser salon and makeup artists and all that piece that run as separate businesses as well. So when people just even book a hair session and come in for a hair, they can do that without going to the photography. But when they do that, then they see what's going on in the photography business as well. It's an amazing what she's done. Amazing. She's an amazing businesswoman. Amazing businesswoman. But Wendy's sales process is to reveal. So when the clients come back for the IPS session, in-person sales session, she does her slideshow to music, and then she has 40 images, matted, printed, ready to go. The client picks, do they want 10, 20, 30 images? She combines the digital with those. They leave on the day with their folio box. Another thing, there's no other product you can do that with, yeah, at the viewing, where they can leave from the viewing with their product. So they don't have to come back again for or wait for it to be produced. So again, amazing system. They're just 2 examples then of 2 different sales systems and how they maximize the sales and don't leave money on the table. Yeah. Okay. Shelby also does this because some people think, do you know what, that reveal wall that only works in fashion makeover type offerings. It works with anything. It's not about that. It's about where you are in your business and how it can help you. And Shelby has done this, and she increased her average sales value significantly by doing it because she identified her clients love that instant gratification. They loved getting their product up front. Yeah. What I love about Shelby on her website is, she explains the plan. So do you remember we talked about the buyer's buying process? Quite often we forget to tell them what that is. So when they visit your website or they visit your landing page, if they don't understand what the process is, again, there's decision fatigue because they don't know what's going to happen here. You know, we assume because it's our business and we know what the process is that our client understands it too, and they don't. Okay, 10 minutes left. We're doing okay. So I love the way she captures that. So there's a consultation, then the photo shoot, then the viewing and ordering session. And when you click on these, then she gives some more details or video behind the scenes and all that amazing website. So check her out. But again, there's an example then of the sales process, not just in that this is a newborn. Yeah. Okay. It can also be a differentiator. Why? The folio box in the concept and the sales process, some of the sales process we've designed, it's relatively a new idea. I know people say, yeah, it was there years and years ago, and we always used to print stuff, and we used to proof stuff in prints, and people could take it around the day. But it's never anything new. But every trend goes in cycles, isn't it? But for most of us in the industry, it's a new idea, so it can be a differentiator because many of your competition haven't figured this out, and the photographer down the road who's giving everything away for nothing wouldn't be able to afford this folio box and do it anyway. Yeah. So you can use product both in the quality of your photography, but also in the products you sell to be a differentiator in your client's eyes. And often the perceived value of what you offer is far greater than the cost of it. Let me give you a simple example of this. And this is going back to in the UK, they put a school photograph into a cardboard mount. Yeah. And they don't do that in the US, I know, but in the UK, they've always done it. And some people decide we're going to try and cut costs and save the 50 pence for the mount. And they drop the mount. But the clients used to ring them and say, where's my mounts? I want my mounts. And they said, no, we've reduced, but we've passed on the advantage of the 50 pence to your price, but the perceived value was far more. And I know there's photographers who've done this in America too, for high school senior, where they now mat every single print. And the perceived value with their client has gone way up. So you've got to align your price with the perceived value as well. And then just bring it in at a cost that you know you still have that great margin there. Yeah. Okay. It can also help drive repeat business. So I'm going to explain how you can do that in a second. As a way of dealing with that digital desire. Because you can say to your client that the image that's going to be on your gallery, your folio, in your pocket, will only be there for the images you've bought in print as well. And if you only want them there, it's the same price. Yeah. So it solves all those issues. Okay. So let's just talk about some examples then of photographers actually doing this, who've actually figured this out. So a differentiator. This is an amazing system. Amazing system. So wedding photographer in Switzerland. And when people come back for the viewing, this is a surprise and delight as well. So it's not part of the package, but people who book her top package, when they come back for the viewing, there's a slideshow to music. The images that she's chosen, not the client, she's chosen, her favorite images are on the wall. And the client can interact with those images, choose which ones they want to buy as part of a collection, and leave on the day of the viewing, of viewing their wedding images in the IPS session with that folio box of images. Oh yeah, but I never sell an album then, Ronan. Wrong. They still go on and buy an album. But you have to be clever about it, that which client do you know can afford this? But you also have to be clever about it, is that don't assume somebody won't. Why? Well, think about it. What has happened in the last 20, 30 years? So when I got married 29 years ago in August, we used to produce a list of products that we would like for our guests to buy as presents. So who's been there other than me? I'm sure some of you are putting your hands up. That's changed now, isn't it? The gifts are now money. So your clients have more money after the wedding, if you're a wedding photographer, than they had before. And they've already spent the money and paid for the wedding, and money spent is forgotten, right? So they're open again to a sale again. So also think about how can you maximize that sale afterwards. And this is one way you can do it. Okay, I have another wedding example that I'll give at the end, which is a surprise and delight. So this is Janine. Janine is also a mentor in Business Success Academy, teaching photographers how to pan for client gold online and fill your studio all year round with higher paying clients. But Janine also runs a photography business. So our mentors in there, we have Janine and we have Brad, who run successful photography businesses. And then you've Jonathan and myself who we haven't run photography business, but we know a lot about marketing. We know a lot about sales, and that combination is a magic quartet at the moment. But anyway, how Janine uses this, and it's really, really clever, is she has her Christmas box. So her Christmas box is she sold to her clients the idea of the folio box becoming a memory and a keepsake and a legacy of the child from a very young age till they become a teenager, yeah, or whatever those Santa years are. So their story of Christmas each year is reflected in the box. Now, so why is that clever? Well, one is it brings the client back every single year, yeah. And when they come back, they don't only buy the image for the folio box, they buy other stuff to go with it. She also uses a concept within her younger children, you know, her Watch Me Grow programs and her dance sessions. So it's a great product. It's one of the few products you can add to over the years and capture that real legacy of the children growing up. So really clever way to do it. And Janine is a genius for coming up with things like that. If you haven't seen her theme portrait stuff, you need to join BSA even on the 1 month free trial and see it. It's absolutely amazing. We already have photographers coming in saying, I've done it and I can't believe how it's working for me. So she is a genius. So we're really honored to have her within the team. So it's a differentiator. So the folio box can facilitate this being a differentiator, because how many of your competition do you know who are doing this, are offering this? And it can help drive repeat business that we just talked about. It brings that client back over and over again. It's another reason we're going to come back to you. Okay, the other way it is, and we've talked about this a little earlier, it's a way of dealing with the digital question, isn't it? And David and Whitney Scott, wonderful friends, brilliant photographers, brilliant educators too. They figured all that out as to how, you know, they came up with their digital solution as to how they're going to do it to digital files and how they can link it to print, but make sure that they maximize that sale. And again, they're a photographer who sells for the wall first, and the image that are left end up with a folio box, and they combine the digitals in a certain way with that too. Okay, so can deal with that. Here's Jessica Robertson. Jessica Robertson and her team, the Tricycle team. So they have a really clever way of dealing with the folio box. So if the folio box doesn't sell in the actual IPS session, what Jessica started to do only last season, and this is her first full season doing it because it was late last season she started to do it, was when the client came back to collect their wall art and whatever else they bought. If they hadn't bought a folio box, Jessica would have a folio box with just one image in it, sitting in the reception where they collect their stuff. And of course, if you imagine a client coming into that, what are they going to do? They're going to look at the image and they're going to go, oh, that's me. Is that for me? And Jessica and her team go, no, that was a folio box. Do you remember we showed you that? But you can buy that. You can buy it now. And you can buy either 10, 15 or 20 images in it. And here's the price. And a lot of people are buying it then. So think about that again. So we talked about this a little bit earlier in the wedding scenario. That money spent is forgotten. You know, there's an old saying my mother used to say, Ronan, eaten bread is soon forgotten. Once you've eaten the bread, you've forgotten about it. Same with money. Once it's spent, it's forgotten about, and we move on. So when they come back again in their buying process, your selling process to collect the goods, you can still go and sell that product there and then. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So why do we need to do this? Surprise and delight, never stop selling. And why is that important? Sorry, I flicked the wrong. Surprise and delight. So I'm always looking for, do you remember the outer ring on the branding? You know, so we have surprise and delight. So my question to you is, how can you surprise and delight your clients? So I presented this idea at XXV this year. So I'm a member of XXV. So it's a deep honor to be brought into XXV as a member. and one of the first of two non-photographers to be members of XXV, which was a real honor too. But one of the things we talked about was high-level weddings and surprise and delight, and how to bring a client absolute surprise and delight your top clients. So I came up with this idea for the Munoz brothers, which was that we should consider that your top paying clients, for your weddings, that spend the big money, imagine going back to them the next morning when they're all having breakfast as the family, where you've chosen 20 of the top images and you've presented them in a folio box as a surprise and delight. Imagine the reaction that you're going to get. Imagine the fact that the people, family and friends who are at that top package wedding are probably from the same top package opportunities. Imagine the effect it would have. So with COVID and all that, we never managed to put it into practice yet, but we're working on it, and we'll be working to make that a reality. So always think about, how can you use products as a surprise and delight? And the other advantage of a folio box is if it doesn't sell, we've designed all of our mats that the print just slides back out and you can reuse both the mat and the folio box. So it's a real way that there's no other product. In fact, you can't produce an album because you can't afford to not sell the album if you've produced it in advance on speculation. Yeah. So just think about how you can surprise and delight. Okay, Kerry's asked me a question. Who does the printing if they offer on the online gallery? Where does the other go? So Kerry, there's no ordering from the gallery. That's the point. And that's why I'm trying to get away from using the word gallery, but the best way to describe it is as a gallery, but it's not like a gallery where you're using it to sell products afterwards. It's designed as a way for your client to be able to interact with the images they've already bought from you in print in a digital format, to share them on social media, and to share them in person with their friends, whether they're having a cup of coffee or a pint or whatever with them, and it's referenced back to you. Yeah, so hopefully that explains it. And that's why I'm trying to get away from using the term gallery, because we're pre-programmed, aren't we, in our industry, that gallery means I'm going to sell stuff from it. You can do that from our galleries, but that's not what we suggest you use it for. Don't have any price list assigned to it unless you're in weddings. For me, the only time a gallery works is if you're going to do weddings and you're trying to sell those images to other people who are at the weddings. It does not work for portraiture. Waste of time, you go bust very, very quickly if you intend to sell it for it. That doesn't mean it can't be used for digital delivery and to drive referrals by making it easy for your client to share it in the way they want to share it. Okay, good. So could you show one of your ultimate slip-in mats? Oh, I'm not sure I have one to show. That's really bad of me, isn't it? But if I have one, I'll check now in a second. And Kerry it says the gallery is hooked up to an online lab. Yes, our gallery is hooked up to an online lab if you want to add product for sale for it. If you're a wedding photographer, that's something you may want to do. If you're a portrait photographer, that's something you don't want to do. Yeah, maximize the sale face-to-face in portraiture. You won't sell product afterwards, or very little of it. Yeah, so you could do it if you want to, but don't. I would encourage you not to. It'll confuse things. Yeah. Okay. So I'll have a look at the ultimate mat. Before we do that, I just want to share a few things with you. So at 3XM and Business Success Academy, you create a whole lot of content to help you with. So if you want to deep dive further into the art of pricing, the psychology of pricing, all those guides are available on our website. All you have to do is register and you can download them and you can get them. The second thing I want to share with you then is we also have guides on how to increase your sales. We have the Ultimate Folio Box Guide, which explains in more detail some of our clients who are using their product and how they use it. So I encourage you to get that way. And we also have a guide on the 6 easy ways to sell a folio box. And then there's this. So I think it's really important that we realize this as an industry, that for us, the age that we're at, there's never been a time where what we do as an industry has been needed more. So what do I mean by that? Well, this COVID pandemic has been like a war. But it's been a different war. It's been a silent enemy. There's been a lot of scars in our society. There's been a lot of scars that have, that have been created both mentally and physically. And we have a job as an industry to create a healthier society through photography. And that's why I'm in this industry. That's why we do what we do, is that everything we do, whether it's a product or it's a piece of software or it's a piece of education that we develop, it's about helping you to create a sustainable, profitable business. Because the more photographers who create a sustainable, profitable business, the more photography that's created. And we all know that photography creates a healthier society. How is that? For some of you who haven't heard me speak before, the first way is a simple smile. So it's true biology. So when somebody smiles, this is based in biology and deeply rooted in it. It releases endorphins into the body. And when those endorphins are released, it reduces stress. And a population and a human that's less stressed is healthier in mind, body, and spirit. Fact. The photography you do, and I talk to a lot of photographers about this, what generally happens when your client views it? They end up smiling, right? So deep rooted in biology. It's also been proven, and we hear this in makeover, in boudoir, and a whole of other things about the empowerment of people when they're photographed, even young people. They feel empowered when they see their true beauty on the inside and outside reflected in photography. That has a massive effect on the psychology. And we know the facts are all there that this pandemic is causing a lot of mental anguish. It's our job to help with that through photography and capture those relationships that are significant to people and reflect them in art, in wall art, albums, and folio boxes. And the third way then, it has been proven that the younger members of our population who are exposed to their family relationships in photography, in wall art, albums, and folio boxes, actually have a higher self-esteem than those who don't. And it's that experience I had with one of my daughters many years ago that has driven me to lead this mission for photographers to, one, realize that you create a healthier society through photography, and two, arm you with the skills, products, and software to maximize your success and therefore create a healthier society, mind, body, and spirit. Okay, so before we finish, I want to share a couple of links with you, if I could, if you would allow me to do that. I would like to share a link for you if you want to have a call with me. So a 30-minute free consultation if you're not sure which product is right for you. If you follow this link, you can, I'm going to put it in the chat. Where's my chat gone? Sorry, guys. Apologies. Chat, where are you? There you are. Put in the chat now a link where you can book a free 30-minute consultation with me to decide which product is best for you. So that's got into the chat there for you now. So if you want to do that, we can do that. The second thing is, if you're ready to buy now, you don't want to wait, on 3XM Solution, we co-invest in studio samples with you. You can pick which product is right for you. We reduce the price for you by 25%. You just order it like you do a normal product and just click studio sample. And then the third thing that I want to do is, in Business Success Academy, we are helping photographers fill their studio with higher paying clients. If you want to see what that's all about, you can join for a 14-day free trial. So if you're not already a member, you can follow the link I'm just posting now, and you can join us. And you can join us in there and see how the photographers and members within there are planning for client gold, we call it. So that's finding your ideal client online and filling their studio with higher paying clients all year round. So hopefully I'm sharing this screen. So again, to summarize, if you want to book a free 30-minute call with me, click on the Calendly link. My diary and calendar is available to you, and pick a time that's suitable for you, and it'll be a Zoom call, a face-to-face Zoom call. I will send you a little thing to do in advance, just to calculate your numbers using the calculator and all that. So we maximize that 30 minutes to give you the most value we can. If you're ready to buy your studio sample and just want to jump in now, and if you haven't already done so, go to 3xmsolution.com and order your sample, and do join us for a free BSA 14-day free trial, 14-day free trial, so we can help teach you the skills to generate the leads that you require in your business to give you the income that you deserve. for the work that you do for society. Okay, so that's me, I think, for today. So I'm going to stop the share there. I'm going to see, is there any more questions? While you can have a look at those links and follow through on them. So let me just go to the chat to see if there's any questions in there. There's not. Somebody asked me, who was it? It was Teen asked me about an ultimate mat. Okay. Let me see what I have in the box. Ooh, I have an ultimate mat, so we can do that. Cool. Okay, so it is an ultimate mat. So what is an ultimate mat? So an ultimate mat is designed for easy loading of prints, because we don't do printing, right? Because you have a relationship with your lab already, or you're printing from home and the cost of printing is coming down all the time. So we had to design a mat, because if you do a sales process like I showed tonight, or reveal and all that, not every time does every mat of print sell. Or if you're doing the Jessica Robertson piece where they come back for the viewing, not everyone's going to buy it when they see it there, yeah? So you don't want to be throwing away a mat that's costing you $4 or whatever it is, yeah? So what we've done is we've designed it that it's really easy. I'm trying to see, how can I demo this now without, okay, because you have to do it a certain way. So the first thing is you have to lay the mat of print on the table. You just lift the top and the print slides out of it. So you haven't seen that in action yet. But the same now when you're putting the print in, when you put it, you've got to put it flat on the table and you lay the print down. And you don't do it like I'm doing it here, yeah? You should be flat, but I'm not doing it here just for the picture. And what it does is it'll lock in place. So it's magic, yeah? It won't, the print won't fall or move wherever it's stuck there, but you can still get it back out by just lifting it. It doesn't sell, and get it back out. So you will see on our website, sometimes we say the ultimate mat is not suitable for fine art paper. And we're not saying for thin fine art paper. It's due to the thickness of the paper. So if you're using a card weighted fine art paper, it won't work in the ultimate mat. Yeah. It has to be a regular print thickness for it to do it. And it just slots in and falls in place. If you're using a thicker paper for photography, then our standard mat is fine, because the paper's so thick when it slides in, it won't move anyway to stay in place. So that's our ultimate mat. So hopefully that's explained what our ultimate mat does, and that answers that question for you. So thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure. I hope everyone stays safe and healthy. If we can do anything for you at 3XM or Business Success Academy to fast track your success in your business, we're there to help you. We've a whole lot of content to help you. And we're in business since 1981. We've seen a lot in this industry, and we're here to help you. That this industry has to survive and prosper and thrive. It really does, because the difference we make to society is massive as an industry. Thank you so much, guys. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you all on Thursday on the Think Tank, where we have James Musselwhite, amazing photographer, amazing personality. I keep saying he should be on stage as a comedian. He's really good. So if you're around on Thursday, do join us. And we're working currently on our interview lineup for all of October, and in fact, all of the last quarter, all the way through to December. So we'll see you all soon. Thank you so much for joining me. Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye for now.